Hey, good morning, everyone. How you doing today? My name is Jade Alberts, and I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I'm a business strategist that focuses on rejuvenating and re-energizing business, especially small businesses. My motto is telling it like it is, and I love to talk strategy over coffee or a lunch or even just a phone call. So today's topic is work and people analytics. A great topic, and Kevin Schlueter is my guest from WPA, and he is based out of Iowa. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jade. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. I guess I always kind of like introducing where we met and what was it, in Denver, probably about 3 years ago that we met?
Yeah, I think it was in Denver at a conference, and we kind of hit it off pretty quickly, became fast friends. Maybe we're talking some of the same things, and enjoyed talking to you ever since. Yeah.
I think we even skipped some of the keynote to get some photographs with the Denver Bronco cheerleaders and their mascot.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. That is right. I remember that now. Fun.
Oh yeah, no, that was. I love those. The future of work, workplace the conferences. You learn a lot from those conferences.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll give a brief introduction here of Kevin, and then we'll get into it. Kevin is passionate about work and people, or human capital. It's a terrific description that shows exponential value of people and teams. His work at WPA is focused on helping organizations evolve and improve work. It's a visual platform based on crowd-contributed digital interviews. Since WPA is focused on people and work, it tells that story, measuring key activities, work priorities, behaviors, networks, mobility, and cultures. For organizations that need to grow and evolve, this information is critical because it's the only way to make evidence-based decisions. WPA does all of this by showing you how to align your resources, such as money, investments, technologies, training, and development. And it works directly with what you need to do to create value, make money, and stay on target with your purpose and vision. And people and analytics and culture, I mean, that's such a big conversation right now in the workplace, Kevin. So a lot of these analytics are sometimes confusing to people and maybe even scare them. How do you make this simple so companies can relate?
Yeah. Thanks, Jade. Good question. I think the easiest thing is analytics don't have to be hard, and all this big data and all the talk about that, these things don't have to be hard, and they certainly need to be made easy. And the way you really do that, I think we found, is a couple of things. You really make the data and the things that you share and the evidence that you share with people about things that they know. So give them information that they're working on. It could be about their team dynamics. It could be about, financial information that they're privy to, or any of those types of things. And then always focus on what matters. In a world full of noise in the world today, whether it's on the TV or social media or anything, where everyone's an expert and there's always an opinion and a lot of news out there to be shared, we have to make this data and the evidence, we like to use the word evidence, meaningful. So keep it focused on a couple of key points. A mentor of mine once said, hey, 3 bullet points is too many. So keep all these, it's the same with data. Make it about, look, here's some big things, because normally those first 1 or 2 or 3 bullet points are the low-hanging fruit that we can attach to, and that a manager or a leader or frontline workers can deal with themselves very swiftly and say, oh, I see that, and I can correct that, or I can expand upon that. So I think it's really just those 2 things. Make it about the things that they know, and make it about what matters. And in the organizations at a high level, it's about the purpose and the clients we're serving and how we're trying to create value in the marketplace.
No, I love that. I mean, you can use the analogy, keep it simple, stupid, so many times. I mean, it's some of the analytics that I have seen and gone over were over my head even. I was like, geez, look at this. And I can see how people get frustrated.
Well, and I'm as guilty as the next guy. My background is steeped in finance. And I was the guy who sent, 18 million different sources of information to leaders and stuff and said, hey, look at this. Isn't it great? But so I've had to learn that lesson over decades and decades of work, that you've got to refine it and say, look, here's a couple important pieces of information. Go ahead and use those. Maybe being a father helps too, because you learn you can't tell your kids everything. You just got to give them 1 or 2 little nuggets. And one of our colleagues, Stephen Smith, says, just give people little nudges. And that's what we're talking about, because those are exponential.
No, absolutely. 100% agree. So can you share some of these, some examples of how these analytics help companies, small, medium, large?
Yeah, we help any size, and we can kind of get into that a little bit more. But in general, what we do at WPA is we love storytelling. And we like, I would say, quick and fast and easy storytelling. And the story we're really trying to tell is how an organization works. So we look at the behaviors of teams, and we can quantify and qualify those in visual application and just show those on dashboards. That's one piece of it. Show those behaviors, their mobility, the complexity and collaborative styles, the networks at play and the cultures at play in these organizations and the tools they use. These are kind of the underlying things that differentiate one organization from another. So when you see those things, the organization can very quickly do a couple of things with it. They can assess themselves and say, wow, if these are the behaviors that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, we either are or aren't going to be able to achieve our strategies, because these behaviors are either going to produce something in this direction or in a different direction. So they can quickly assess themselves. The other thing that they can do is then they can cast those behaviors forward. Thus, they know how to start to motivate or help the organization and teams motivate themselves and their own teams to change those behaviors over time to become better at what they do. So that at a high level is what our organization does. It's behavior based, and it's understanding that it has the effect of reducing hierarchy significantly within organizations, speeding up innovation, speeding up communication in organizations, because you see where there's big barriers in communication that most leaders just can't see, nor should they really be able to, because they're not sitting in the front lines every day. And our interview system, which is very swift, kind of very swiftly says, here's where there's barriers. And of course, as we all know, those barriers are always opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. I with a lot of some of the clients I work with, I try and get them into an honest meeting where it's open and everybody can discuss and feel that they're not going to be excluded, which is very important. It starts a communication. So I guess with this, with some of these, I deal with a lot of SMEs. So how do a smaller company use your analytics?
So our analytics can be used, and we do, and we work with almost any size organization. We just did a couple of 20 and 30 person clients, and we just finished working with a couple of clients who had almost 3,000 people all around the world and we deployed it in 7 different languages. So, and Fortune 500s and 100s. So it's really scalable to any of those organizations. What's interesting is even in the big company that I said that was multinational, they have offices in Sacramento or Taiwan that only has 20 or 30 people. Our data is able to be sliced and looked at by any of those different groups. So I can see the 20 people in my, for example, Taiwan office or in my Sacramento office, and I can look at the behaviors that they're doing. That as a manager and a leader, and I can compare across those different, areas of the organization, becomes very helpful. And it's very much the same for a smaller organization. Let's say I've got 30 or 50 or 100 or 200 people. I can look at my data and I can still break it down into multiple groups, whether it be age or tenure groups or different functions or locations. So it can be used by any of those size of organizations. Very functional in that way. And that's important, back to your very original question about that speed and how you make things usable and not create too much noise.
No, very true. And, sometimes a downfall of a small company is they don't think along this, how can people, I'm just small, I don't need it. They don't pivot as fast because they think things are going well and they're not talking to their people. And all of a sudden they're behind the 8 ball. And why am I losing business? Why am I losing employees? So I believe in analytics and I'm excited, and I've seen yours and I've been, presented to it, and I've passed on a few leads and things like that. So I truly believe in them. And some of the small businesses have to start thinking like a big business almost, in how am I going to retain and how am I going to grow and keep the people that I have, because they are the heartbeat of the company. And as you said, on the front lines, they see what's happening and they have to be able to share that with the hierarchy.
Right. It's a good point. I'd like to respond to that, because the truth of the matter is every organization has waste in it. And that's not a bad thing. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You don't go in to trim off that waste. What we like to say is when you have the evidence that you have waste in your organization or barriers, you want to transfer that work energy. That's all work energy, because the truth of the matter is hundreds, or even big cases, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of hours go into those practices. And that is bad energy. You want to transfer that to those more money-making and value-driven things, such as innovating and serving clients and listening to new problems that are out in the marketplace. That's what our evidence is really used for, is to identify those things and transfer it. And when you do that, it can become quite exponential, because that's when you really hit on all cylinders, because all the people in the organization knows there's waste, and they all identify it. And if it goes on too long, it drives them nuts, and they get depressed about it, and they leave, and there's attrition. There's no opportunity here. But if they see the organization transfer that energy, they say, wow, they get it. They get what we see, and there's the opportunities in front of them. The culture grows. All those types of things can be quite exponential. So it's not about slicing off waste. Waste should always be looked at. Where do I need to take all that beautiful energy from all of these workers and this intellectual capability they have and their ability to collaborate, and where do I actually move that to? And that's really one of the pictures that we paint. Where do I move that to? And that's very valuable for leaders, especially C-level executives who want to understand their organizations well.
No, absolutely. I mean, I always say information is priceless, and if you can have your people and your work, like name of your company, work in people analytics, I mean, you can put that to work for you, in a way that gives you an advantage. So right. I guess speaking of your company, where do you see the workplace culture, and you guys have expanded quickly. Where do you see WPA over the next 5 to 10 years?
Good question. Boy, who wouldn't want a crystal ball for that? And when you're so entrepreneurial and visionary and innovative as we try to be, and hopefully are in some small respect, you think you got it figured out, but boy, do your clients take you to different places, and you figure it out along the way. But what we really are, and what we're really focused on, is building employee effectiveness platforms. So organizations can very quickly understand their teams and help them grow, and help them almost grow of their own volition, because they can see themselves. They look in the mirror. I use the analogy sometimes like WP is very much like, if I look in the mirror, I look at myself, I'm like, Kevin, you need to work out a little bit. And there's some truths in that. Or an MRI. You can look in an MRI or an X-ray of an organization, see very swiftly, it's like, oh, that arm's broken. We just need to fix that, and we'll be in good shape. That's really what we're like. So the future really is an employee effectiveness, and it takes the form of two different things, kind of this workplace strategy, but also in workforce and organizational effectiveness and optimization. So how do we organize our teams to work better? How do we help create the support mechanisms within our organization so they can do their best work, so they can innovate, so they can respond to client needs? So I think our goal and our vision is to be the premier employee effectiveness platform in the world. Quite frankly, we do work globally. And so that's where our mindset's at. And we see that it's a wonderful world to learn and grow in the coming decade. And that's really the goal, because we feel that if we can make work better in organizations, it helps everyone's lives. People enjoy their jobs, the jobs are better, the communities they live in have more innovative companies that are doing great work for others. It reduces the waste, and we make the whole world a better place. And I think that's a big deal. A lot of the companies that we work with or that are interested in us tend to be organizations that are interested in making work better, because they see people as their power, and they want to give back to those people, but they certainly want to get the most out of those people that they can too, because it gives everybody opportunities. So it's all about making work better at WPA, and employee and team effectiveness.
And I love that. I actually haven't heard that term, the employee effectiveness platform. I love that. I mean, everybody throws culture and that type of word, but that is a great spin on it. I mean, not in a very positive way, because employees, they are the heartbeat of the company, and they need to be happy. And anytime workers are happy, they work a lot better. They're more effective. So that's a great term. I love it.
I think some of the leaders that we follow and that we've learned from and that we continue to learn from are the ones who continue the rhetoric of saying, look, this is in the advanced economies, it's all about people. It's about getting people to work better together, enjoy each other, collaborate, listen to clients, come up with new ideas, serve them. and win and enjoy yourself in that process. And when it's all about the people and your focus is on that, things become exponential. I think that's why some of the great stories that get on the front of Inc. magazine and all, Fortune magazine and all these things are these organizations that figure that out for a period of time. And they're hitting on all cylinders because the people element is just, it's working and works really, really well. So that's our aim.
Oh, that is awesome. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, Kevin, to sit down and have a little chinwag with me. That's awesome. And I love catching up with you a little bit beforehand. That was good too. And
likewise. Love talking to you.
And it goes both ways. Excellent. Thanks again. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'm Jade Alberts. I'm based out of Calgary. I'm a small business innovator, and I would love, if you're having any issues, I would love to help you out. You can please reach out to Kevin or myself. Kevin's information was up on there. It can be reached by email. You can leave a comment. We will be posting this on our social media platforms. So once it's on LinkedIn and Twitter and all the other Facebook, please don't be afraid to leave a comment, and we will get back to you. So thanks again, Kevin. I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll chat soon.
Great. Thanks, Jade. Keep up your great work.
All right. Thanks, Kev.
Bye-bye.